Hello, everyone. And we are going to be trying to play some music for you this evening. We thought we were going to start off with some, but it didn't make it. I'd like to play a little bit of that now. Lindsay, are you available?
Coming right up.
Everyone. And we are going to be trying, sorry. Nope. All right. Oh, wait, here it comes. I think. That was the beautiful Red and All Red from the CD Al Fresco by the three-string trio featuring tonight's guest. Welcome, everyone. First, I will let you know a few housekeeping things. I am Darlene Hamilton of the Historical Tea and Dance Society. We dance here in Pasadena, California. When things get back to normal, we hope that you will join us if you're ever out this way. And if you're joining us from Zoom, the way you can ask questions is by, if you look down below, you'll see it, probably down below, you'll see a chat box. Click that and please put comments and questions in there. And if you're watching on Facebook Live, put comments and questions in your chat box. Lindsay is in the background monitoring them all. Say hello, Lindsay. Oh, I guess they can see you now. So good.
Hello.
Yes, and we will be taking your questions as they fit in and as we have time for, and then handling more of them in the after chat afterwards. Those of you who joined via our website, via Zoom, will already have the link for that. And those of you who are on Facebook Live will have the link posting in our Historical Tea and Dance Friends page. And I'm not sure if I can invite anybody else into being a Historical Tea and Dance friend this hour. However, the last person that did get in, they said, I love Kate, and that was good enough for me. And you will too after this hour. If you don't already. Sure? Those of you who know her, yes, I am sure. Let me go right into giving a short bio. The short bio is full, quite full. It's amazing and phenomenal. A true Renaissance woman, Kate has been playing more instruments in more genres in more interesting locations for most of her life. Her current bands are the Latter-day Lizards, Contra, yay, Bare Necessities, ECD, we listen to them all the time, Third String Trio, you saw that, heard that beautiful ECD tune on that, Kestrel, and on the radio program Says You. She teaches, she records, she publishes music books and makes pottery. Her publications, the Barnes books, English country dance tunes, if you don't have them, I have no idea why. A little, and there's the other two, the traditional couple dance tunes, An Interview with a Vampire, instruction book of piano techniques. At last count, she's appeared on over 70 CDs and has toured 14 countries from Australia to Hungary. Oh my gosh. So without further ado, let me introduce to you Kate Barnes. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks, Darlene. Thanks, Lindsay.
We're so happy to have you here tonight. And throughout the hour, we will be playing little snippets of tunes of yours. So let's jump right into the 5 things. The first thing for you, you talked about the balance between tradition and innovation and how that was important. So please tell us about that.
Well, it's something I face every time I play, I think, and probably a lot of traditional musicians do, which is how can you be inventive and innovative in your own field, and but still respect the tradition that it's coming from, and also not alienate your more traditionally minded audience members, but also give something exciting to the dancers who are dancing to you. So it's this constant tension between tradition and innovation, and we all navigate that. And if you don't navigate that, if you choose to remain totally traditional or totally innovative, people might love you, but you probably won't get hired all that much in that field. You have to do a passing nod to each end of the spectrum.
That's an interesting thing that I had not thought about. Lindsay, I think you have a good example of that you have lined up for playing. We're going to play The First Lady, which is, oh, I don't have a reference.
Michelle Obama.
How wonderful. Well deserved.
And it's a lovely tune too. Here we go.
Beautiful. So tell me what you were playing on that. Is this the one that you were?
Yeah, I'm on flute and whistle on this piece. So
So
that was me on the flute. And the astute dance musicians or dancers among you will notice it is not the tune used for The First Lady, I think, Lord Gregory's Fair Flower. Instead, I was improvising on it. And Jacqueline on the piano behind me was doing this kind of syncopated, not very danceable rhythm. This tune is actually from my favorite Bare Necessities album, which is Nightcap.
wow, how great.
A CD not really, not with dancers in mind, but more with listeners in mind. But there, right again, you can hear that we departed from the tradition of just playing the straight melody, and we just started on a riff, essentially.
It's lovely. How many instruments do you play?
Well, from my view, I get asked that question a lot. From my viewpoint, is what I can play competently, and I call that the piano, the flute, the whistle, and the guitar.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never tried any brass. I tried the tuba once, but the trouble with the tuba is that you can want to rehearse for an hour a day, but you can really only rehearse 5 minutes a day because strings, not really bowed strings. I tried the violin for a while, but never really caught. So,
wow. Well,
glockenspiel, you know.
You told me something very interesting, that here in the States, most of us know you as a keyboardist. And you said in England, no, oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's really more that in the English community, there are many people who say, you play piano as well? You play Contra dance music? And it's the same in the Contra dance scene, because the two scenes, you know, there's a lot of overlap, but not a huge amount. So some people don't know that I kind of am straddling both camps.
That's what you had said. Thank you. I thought that was very interesting. All right, so let's move on to there are so many good questions.
I see a lot of nice friends here too.
Yes, I'm glad you're seeing them all.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can see how many have joined in, but they will in the after chat.
14? No.
No. Lindsay, I think we have a question or two that directly relates to this playing of traditional music.
Let's see.
Is it, have I gotten rich?
That would be, so we have a question from Dan Vilter. What is your process in charting how traditional tunes are played for the modern dancer?
You mean for recording or for a live dance?
Is Dan out there?
That is a good question. Is Dan there? Yes, Dan is here. Hello, Dan. I'm going to bring you on board. Always best when people can ask their own questions.
Yeah, oh, am I there? Oh,
Yep.
Let me turn on my video. I know you. Well, I know you most from the recording, but an awful lot from the live performances as well. And I was thinking the live performances. How do you make it sound so fresh and new, and still, I feel like I've tasted a really good traditional version of it.
Oh, that's great. If that's true, we're striking that balance between the traditional and the innovative. But the actual process is very unscripted. It's we're improvising totally. We just work from one lead line, which is just a single melody line, and we're all improvising around that line as we usually swap leads around the four of us.
So you're doing that in the recording sessions as well?
No, in the recording session, it's almost like that. All we have is this, like if the dance is 7 times through, we have a map of who's going to take it which time.
Okay.
And beyond that, it's pretty much made up.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Thank you, Dan.
That's part of the fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so thing one was the balance between tradition and innovation. Thing two for you was, and I love this one, the wonderful tolerance and generosity of our community.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I'd love to have you talk about that a little bit.
Well, as you can see, I'm a little bit different person on the gender spectrum. And really in the dance scene, it has been kind of a non-issue. And a lot of people have been quite happy for me, which is great. You know, and I think that might be why I started playing in this scene, because I sensed that openness to different people. So, I mean, I have found that people are very reluctant to ask me about it. And I'm always open to a sincere and respectful question, no matter what the question. As I mentioned to you, Darlene, often it's the defenders of my sensitivity who are a lot more adamant about protecting me than I am. I mean, I have a pretty hard shell. So don't be shy about asking questions about that, I guess is what I should say. And yes, the community is probably, well, it's amazing. I don't think there's any other musical community and dance community like it. The jazz scene I've heard is very cold, and the rock and roll scene is no one makes any money and it's difficult. And I don't know, I'm very happy where I am. May I mention also, during this time of the virus, the dance scene has been very generous to us musicians as a whole. So God bless you all, guys. Thanks.
That's wonderful to hear. We, I think the thought throughout is we want you guys to be there when this is over, and we can't wait to be dancing on the floor with you playing again and recording your music and all that. So
Yeah, we can't either.
I know. It's so, I guess it's redundant to say so, but all right. So thing 2 was that wonderful tolerance and generosity of this community. Thing 3 that was really close to you is working with your hands. And of course, all the instruments you play, you're working with your hands, and that comes into many other parts of your life. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, you wanted me to show off my pottery. I mean,
I
right
did.
here,
It's beautiful.
I'm drinking out of a mug I made. I'm very proud of this. Look at this. Has a cover.
Wow.
Keep your tea warm. Put the bag in when you're done. I know. So, and if I can show and tell, I make mugs. Like this and this. And like this really big one. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, now it's small.
That's lovely.
I also do, I didn't tell you about this. This is something I don't often discuss in the folk scene because it's really a whole other culture, which is the world of electronic devices.
Oh, wow.
So I build sound equipment, I build radio equipment like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are a very tactile person.
Well, yeah, I am. If I can't work with my hands, I get bored. And oh, I see Sharon Green raised her hand. Hi, Sharon.
Oh, go ahead. We should have Sharon ask her question. Lindsay, you want to bring her in?
I was bringing her in, but unfortunately I was on mute, so no one
Oh.
knew. Sorry. Sharon, you're coming on board right now.
I love Sharon.
We all love Sharon.
I love
Oh.
I love Kate.
Hey.
Yeah. And in talking about the generosity is mutual. And I remember when I was in charge of Pinewoods English Week as program director, and I asked Kate to come be on staff, and Kate already had another offer from someplace else that paid more. But Kate came to Pinewoods English Week for the love of the community. And that's the kind of mutual generosity that I find so wonderful in Kate. So that's not a question.
Thank you, Sharon.
Yeah.
It is. It's my family.
Well, and I have to say that Kate really touched my heart because last year, several of us from this community went to Heyday's camp for the first time. We were all brand new, and Kate came over and sat with us, and we were so like, oh, we're not worthy. And then she was so nice and friendly, and it was like, wow. And that was kind of great that a lot of the people that we who haven't been in the world as long, you know, really hold up on a pedestal. We're coming around.
Is that a reference to my age? No.
So, yeah, thank you. And I should say that Claire Takamori asked where we can buy your pottery. Is it for sale?
Oh, you kind of can't.
Oh.
Although what I'm thinking of doing is taking a picture of. I have probably 30 or 40 pieces from my last firing, and then the pottery studio has closed down because of the virus.
Yeah.
Which, being someone who loves working with their hands, drives me crazy. So I am going to take a picture of what I have and put it on Facebook with a little number, and people, the first person who says they're interested, I can ship it out. I have boxes and that kind of thing. This is a project waiting for me to start.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
That
And
sounds like we're all going to be waiting by your Facebook page or something.
That's good. I'll jack the price up then.
Great. That's great. All right, let's see. We were going to there was something. Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. What kind of tea were you drinking in that cup?
Oh, Yorkshire Gold.
Ooh, oh, somebody else mentioned that. I think.
Yep. That is my favorite tea. My very favorite.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, I've been a tea drinker since I was 8. No, no one said tea would stunt my growth. I just love it. Always have. Only black tea. I don't drink herbal tea really. All right, Lindsay, you too?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Excellent. Let's have a cup of tea someday.
I probably drink 2 or 3 to 4 cups a day. I love it. I mean, it's just so comforting.
And I'm going to need to get myself some of that Yorkshire Gold because people keep talking about that.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, let's move on to thing number 4, life on the road. This was
Boy,
like it had a lot of interesting stories to it. The rewards, the perils, best gigs, worst gigs.
yeah. I used to tour all the time, especially there was one tour I did so often. It was you start in Boston, you go to Baltimore, then you go to Philly, then you go to Washington D.C. And down and back doing gigs all the way. We used to call it either the Money Belt or the Gold Coast because it was you went down and you'd earn all this money and then come back. But life on the road, I don't like it. It's I because I can't work with my hands on the road. I am, and this is going to surprise you, I'm basically an introvert. I mean, in the Myers-Briggs, I'm way over on the I side. So so after this is over, I'm going to go and huddle in a corner, for a couple of days. But yeah, I mean, life on the road, bad food, long driving, camaraderie, which is the good part. If you're with someone you like. I haven't with people. I did a tour of Austria once, Austria, Germany, Italy, and Luxembourg, Switzerland.
Wow.
And I was so lonely. And every day it was the same story. We would get up, get on the bus, drive 5 hours, go to a green room where there was stale bologna sandwiches or something, do a show, go to a hotel, and repeat that 40 days in a row.
Wow.
Yeah, never again.
Uh,
Yeah, so now in my dotage, I mostly do just kind of weekends or week-long things in one place. Not to mention flying has gotten horrible. So, yeah.
yeah. Well, I think everybody's.
Oh, but wait,
Oh.
best gigs and worst gigs.
Yeah.
The best gig was actually another tour of Europe. I was in Berlin, and I was with an Irish band, and we were playing Irish music. And everything was going right, and I learned enough German to talk to the audience, and we played a tune, and there were 2,500 people there. And at one point, they raised up cigarette lighters. It was just like I was a rock and roll musician, that was pretty good. But it doesn't have to be grand like that. A lot of great gigs are when I'm with band members I love. The dancers are really into it, and I feel like I'm playing well, and it's not as common as you might think, but that's what we live for. Now the worst gig, I was hired by this guy. I won't say his name, which was Michael Procino.
Oh.
I hope he's listening because it was in New York and I live in Massachusetts. So it was about a 5-hour drive away. Started to rain like cats and dogs on the way there. On the way there, my car broke down. It was a weekend. No one was open. So I had to go to Sears, and I'm not a car mechanic, a car person. But I knew somehow that we had just had the some gasket replaced. So I went into Sears, bought one of those gaskets for the car, and in their parking lot, took the head off and put a new gasket on. I still can't believe I did that. So we get to the gig. Sorry if this is taking a long time.
No, please.
The rain just starts pouring, and I have the sound equipment. So there I am in a tuxedo because we have to play, hauling in the sound equipment in the rain to the gig. So we play the gig all weekend long, which was okay, not great. At the end, he gave us all checks, which we felt we were well deserved because he had us work overtime a lot. And then we went home. 2 days later, I get a notice from my bank saying the check was no good. I call the guy up. He says, "Oh no, just redeposit," which I did. No good again. Another $25 fine.
Oh no.
And as it turns out, he had stiffed the entire hotel he hired as well. Yeah, so he was in to me for $1,500, and he's into the hotel for $25,000.
Oh
and,
my
and
gosh.
still is, I think. So that was a bad gig.
That was a bad gig.
Yeah.
Well, to lighten the mood, we are going to play a snippet of music
Oh, thank God.
from the Latter-day Lizards. And after that, we're going to take a couple questions. But
All right.
here's Hell Broke. Wait a minute. I'm going to let Lindsay say the whole title because I shortened it on my cheat sheet.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, now I have to look at the title. It is, the full title of the piece is Hell Broke Loose in Georgia. And here it goes.
Oh, makes me feel like dancing. Lindsay, let's get that question from Kalia because I thought that was really interesting.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yes. She's watching on Facebook right now, and she had an excellent question about life on the road. So, Kate,
Oh, yeah.
when staying with local hosts, what makes you happy?
Low pressure. So food in a place that's easy to find, a room by myself where I can shut the door, being the introvert that I am. Hosts who recognize that you might be tired after playing all night and are open to signals that it might be just nice to go to bed. The worst thing is a talkative host who has a bed view in the middle of their living room that they pulled out from the sofa. But I have to say, I've met some amazing people on the road and staying in their houses, which is one benefit of this community, which is not often so true for other musical styles. So yeah. Does that answer your question, Kalia?
Let's have a look.
That's a great question. It's good to know because I think people love to be able to do that for our musicians. So yeah, good to know. Yeah. We also had several other very interesting questions. So let's take a few right now.
Sure.
Ooh, okay. Which one to choose though?
Number 2.
Yeah.
Okay, what was the most memorable non-dance related gig you've ever played? Preferably a positive memory rather than a negative one.
Well, I don't play many non-dance related gigs, but for a while I was working with this Irish singer named Kathy Ryan, beautiful voice. And we played, I think it's this, somewhere in Long Island where they do a lot of research, Long Island, New York. And the guy who discovered the gene, what was it? It was Crick and Watson. I think this was Watson, was there, and we met him. And he enjoyed the concert. I mean, that. I think that was a pretty cool non-dance related gig. Yeah, I'll have to leave it at that. These things are not like on the top of my mind for easy recall.
Oh,
There's been so many.
that was a question from James Hudson, by the way.
Oh, let's get James on,
Oh,
or just ask it.
if he is up, well, that the question I just asked was from James.
Great.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
All good. I also have a question from Anita Anderson, who's watching on Facebook, and she would like to know if you have to switch between Contra and English country dancing, how long does it take for you to switch your brain and or hands?
Not instant, I'd say, because the English dance music, as you know, is not all flowing and pretty. I mean, there's some very raucous and very Contra-like tunes, as well as some other tunes altogether, like rants or hornpipes. So English, and the reason I like English is because the style is so broad, and the different feelings within it are so broad. So I will say, after playing English dancing, Contra dancing is very visceral and very exciting, but it's quite a bit narrower niche in which to play, I find. So there's that. But yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't take long to switch from one feeling to another.
We have a lot of people asking about the Bare Necessities and how they formed, the history of Bare Necessities. You have, I'm not even sure, the last count I had was 15 CDs with Bare Necessities.
18 actually.
Oh, 18. Wow.
Yeah, so there were 15 on the CDSS dance series, but there are also 3 that we did before that ever happened.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So one of them being Nightcap, one of my favorites.
And I have that. It's a great CD. I love that.
You have to say that.
No, well, I know. You know what? I tell people on my phone, I have like, I don't know, a 40 gig phone, and 30 gigs is music. It's ECD. Oh, yeah. It's true. It's true.
Anyway, brief history of the band. Jacqueline Schwab and Earl Gaddis used to play with Claudio Buchwald, and I think Ralph Jones occasionally, in Boston for the English dance we had on Wednesday nights. At one point, Claudio left. I think he's living in Indiana now. And Earl, oh no, I think, and this is before I joined, Mary Lee joined that band. And it was a trio for a while. And then Earl went on a sabbatical. And he asked me to sit in for him, which kind of blew my mind, because I was a mediocre flute player at best. But I stayed the year and loved it. And then after that, Earl came back, and I stayed. Like barnacles on a ship. You couldn't pry me loose. And it was about a year after that. So the 4 of us were playing pretty consistently. And a year after that, CDSS Boston proposed that we make a recording, which meant we had to name the band, which, let me tell you, is a very tricky path to tread for any new band, is naming the band.
Yeah.
So the choices were like Comical Fellow, which we all hated. People were suggesting these all the time. Portabella, if you imagine someone going, Portabella. So we decided to go with Bare Necessities, the name of a hardware store in Bare, England. Nice dance by Pat Shaw. And that was it. And I think we've been together since 1979 or 1980.
Wow.
Yeah. So what is that now? 40 years?
Wow.
Yeah.
So when's the
Our anniversary.
CD19, the 40th anniversary, coming out?
Well, recording is not easy for us. So there's been a real lull since number 15 came out. We really haven't thought about doing one and there's some reluctance to get back into the studio. Not on my part, I will say, because I like the process. But you know, we're all working on the holdouts, and we'll see what could happen, because there's so much great material now that has not been recorded. Yeah. But let me just say also, unlike maybe a decade or so ago, now there are all these other great English bands, which could also do a great job on a lot of these tunes. So there's that as well.
Well, thank you. Thank you for telling us about their necessities. How about telling us a little bit about Latter-day Lizards?
Ah, the Latter-day Lizards.
Contra dance fans out there.
Yeah, we've been together about 25 years, I think. Which let me tell you, in the history of bands and music, is quite a long time. The Greenfield Grange, which is about less than a mile from my house right now, has hosted many wonderful dances, kind of started by David Kaner, who is not doing so well at the moment. But anyway, Bill and Dave played there often. And then I think their pianists couldn't make it for some gigs, so I sat in. And then after a while, we were having so much fun that we decided, Lindsay, I see your cat is beautiful. We were having so much fun that we decided to have a band. And our first gig, I think, was in your state, California, our first gig. And it was a band that was convened on the premise that we'd been in enough not fun bands, and this band was going to be all about having fun. And it's kind of been that way for 25 years. So, yeah. I also say I can't be part of any band that doesn't let you improvise wildly. So, yeah.
Lots of good room for that in Latter-day Lizards.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, wonderful music. There's 2 CDs out there. Yes? 2 CDs?
I'm sorry. Yes, just 2.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Someone asked, Carol Talley asked, who were your teachers and major influences?
That's a great question. Boston CDSS, my family, sent me as a scholarship student to English Week, 78, 79 maybe, 1978, I think. And at that dance were 2 luminaries, Phil Merrill, who amazing pianist and great guy, raconteur, wit. He used to play organ for silent movies. He and Marshall Barron were there. Marshall led a workshop on playing for English country dance, and they were huge in my in influencing my interest in English dance music and how to play it. Also, my bandmates. I didn't know about English dance music before I started playing with Earl and Jacqueline, and learned a huge amount from them as well. So, yeah, other influences are maybe not in the English scene, you know, because I throw in a lot of blues. I throw in some swing things. I don't know, lots of non-English influences as well.
Wow, cool. It's great. It's great hearing about all this. And I know so many are joining us and really enjoying it. Thank you. All right. How about moving on to thing number 5? So we had so far, just because people had asked us to recap, we had 1 was balance between traditional and innovation. 2 was the wonderful tolerance and generosity of the community. 3 was working with your hands. 4 was life on the road, the rewards and perils.
I don't even remember what 5 was.
Well, I'll tell you. It was your body of work, the books, the CDs, the Lifetime Achievement Award, the Lifetime Contribution Award. Talk to us about these amazing books that you...
There they are.
And the other 2 that are so wonderful. I love that you made a book for people to help teach people music, you know, piano.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Great.
Well, I was giving a workshop at the New England Folk Festival every year, and I've always liked the process of making a book. I used to make books when I was a kid, just for the fun of it. So the way this all got started is I was playing, as I mentioned, in the early '80s for the Boston Country Dance and Song Society English Dance, and we would have to bring around 10 to 15 books of English dance music because they weren't all in one place. Instead, they were these little books that different people had published over time, and some of them we photocopied, and there's this huge binder. And being the lazy person that I am, I said, God, we have to boil this down to the ones we use most often, because some of them, like the Monks March with the Wanderers, when are you going to dance that again? So I undertook to write these all out by hand and put them in a book. There might have been 200 or 250 pieces, I don't know. And while I was doing this, Boston Center again said, why don't you publish it? Which hadn't occurred to me, but I did. And by God, it filled a niche. So people started buying it. The funny thing about the book is, it was all handwritten. It was probably the last handwritten music book ever. And by the time I got to Z, because I did it in alphabetical order, my writing had improved so much that letter A through M looked like crap. So, so I actually redid all of them, which is why if you have a copy of that original book, you'll see that the quality of the music notation dramatically falls off around the letter M, because that's where I said, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to rewrite anymore. So that's how it got started. And then, the English repertoire and the scene, there's new great dances coming along all the time. People are making them up. People are discovering them. They're reworking them. So, yeah, I mean, there's an evolving and ever continuing need for new repertoire books, which kind of, it's ironic because if people end up bringing around 6 to 7 huge binders of English dance music, well, that's why I boiled it down to one book in the beginning. So it's
That's right.
Yeah.
I love it. So,
and the couple. Oh yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, imagine those that have that first edition, and I bet Sharon Green is one of them. I bet that's a collector's item.
Who would want it? I have no idea, but maybe.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You were going to continue on. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh yeah, the couple dance book. I did a lot of work with Bill Tomczyk and Mary Lee and myself. We had a band called BLT, Barnes, Lee, and Tomczyk. And we worked this great vintage dance choreographer, Richard Powers. He lives out in your state now. And wow, that was an eye-opener. Such great music and so many different kinds, right into the 20th century. And that it was all couple dance music. So that prompted me to come up with the couple dance book. I just like making books, it's fun. I wish I could write them, but I can't think of stories.
Oh, well, I wonder about that. Maybe that'll come. I think you have a lot of stories. It's
Well,
great.
we'll see.
And I did not realize you worked with Richard Powers, who
Yes,
from our historical dance roots.
Yes.
Some of us are still doing historical dances, and we're still dancing dances that he created or reconstructed. So yes, that's
I would mark him as one of my also major influences.
wow.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. All right, Lindsay, do we have another question out there?
Oh, we have multiple questions.
That's what I thought.
Let's see. I've got another question from James Hudson. As someone who's been a dance musician for several decades, How has dance music and the way it's played changed over the years, both for Contra and for English country dance?
Very interesting question. For Contra, when I started, it was very, I mean, to my ears, very basic. The piano was just oompa all the time. There was no improvisation. People just were playing the melody. Often, when I started, 10 to 20 people playing the melody all at once, and that was the sound. And I think contra dancing really took off in New England, anyway, around the 70s, I'd say. And a lot of people were playing it. A lot of people were having fun with it, and little bands started to form. And then the band, once you have a band, you get better than just showing up at the local dance and playing along. And I think the first, I think all these other influences started to come in. I think on the piano, for example, I would throw in a lot of blues and swing riffs and a lot of syncopation. The Irish scene influenced the contra dance scene immensely. Not only Yankee Ingenuity, which is the band I started with, but I know Wild Asparagus was really into the Irish music for a long time and still are. And lately, contra dance music is a very slow, progression. But contra dance music has become kind of groove oriented and quite syncopated in its feel, which is great. It's not my style necessarily. I think of myself more as kind of a rocker when it comes to contra, as opposed to someone more mellow. I don't know. That's what I like about the Lizard. It's like we hit the ground running, And the English scene, there's a funny dilemma in that Bare Necessities is kind of, for a long time, has been the band. Really, maybe one of the only major touring bands doing English. And the strange thing is that we came to define how English dance music should be played in America, which makes me a little uncomfortable. But on the other hand, I like gigging. So I've discussed this dilemma with some people. And I don't know, some people, it's like that old thing between tradition and innovation. Some people want to take English really way out and have electric instruments and syncopation, of course, not knowing that the English have been doing this for decades, but which is fine. I have no problem with that. I think even 300 years ago, musicians, after playing a tune 80 times, would have to do something with it just to entertain themselves. So I'm actually waiting for new developments in playing English as well, because English callers come over here, like Andrew Shaw, for example, and say, you're missing vast swaths of the English repertoire and the way it can be played. And I think it's true. So yeah, in his defense, though, the American style of playing for English is beautiful. I mean, you can't get around it. It's really a nice thing. So I don't know. Yeah.
Well, we're happy. We're happy with it. Patricia Howley asked, how do you decide which tunes go into your books? And I think that's an interesting thing that everybody wants to know.
Oh yeah, takes a long time. People right now are saying, so when is volume 3 going to come out? And I want to smack them because it's so much work and it takes a long time. I don't want to just throw every tune in there. I want it to be useful. So my general rule is if 2 dance communities have done the tune twice, that's 2 communities, each one has done it twice, that's probably a good measure that there must be something at least tolerable about the dance, and maybe I should put it in. Because there's a lot of tunes that are just, and dances that are just one-offs. Someone wrote something for their friend's birthday or, their bar mitzvah or something. And it might not catch on. So I tell people the longer it takes to put together a book, the better. because then I can winnow out the the tunes that are just going to fall by the wayside anyway. It's hit or miss. I think all three of the books have tunes in them that no one probably will ever play anymore, but you do what you can. Yeah. So as I travel around playing music, I notice these tunes. Callers hand us the sheets of music, and nowadays, of course, with my tablet, I can take a picture of it, so I don't have to be handed the music anymore. And then if the dance keeps cropping up in other settings, I kind of put a mark on it and say, well, this is one to watch. Yeah, that's it.
Good to know. So I guess those of us who have certain favorite dances should make sure we put them on the list when you're playing in town.
That would help. I mean, one sad thing is people send me tunes and say, can you put this tune in put my tune in your book? And it doesn't work that way,
Right.
Yeah. Much as I would like to oblige, or occasionally would be happy not to oblige.
So let me ask you the question that I ask everyone. What's your favorite dance?
English or Contra?
Well, both, either.
Well, Contra dance, and as a dancer, I assume you're asking.
Sure, yes. We can ask you your favorite tune afterwards, but.
Well, I just love dancing Money Musk as a Contra dance. It's my favorite tune. I don't know. I just love it. I have such great nostalgic memories with it because when I was a callow youth of 17 and went to my first Contra dance and had a crush on someone, we would always do that dance together after the break, and great memories. And I still love it. And for English dancing, I like Quite Carried Away is one of my favorites. Hudson Barn, The Female Sailor, because it just keeps going and going. Yeah, like that.
Great dances.
Now, as a musician, my favorite tune again is Money Musk on the piano. I'd love to play that.
Cool.
On the whistle or flute, I like Petronella. But there's so many great Contra dance tunes now again. Now, Red Prairie Dawn is a great tune that I love playing. English, Mad Robin. I just love that tune. Yeah.
It's a great
Although
tune.
I also like silly, dorky major ones like Well Done, Jack.
Cool. All right, let's see. I know we're going to we have about 7 minutes left. I know we're going to get to a lot of things in the after chat, so make sure you stay tuned in for that. But I think we have time for another couple of questions before we wrap it up and move into our second section of this time tonight. Lindsay, got anything out there you want to bring up?
I do. I have a question from Kara King and Todd Brune. The question is, how can colors make musicians happy?
Pay them lots of money. Clear signals. So, I mean, it's not really important to me whether it's 2 times or 3 times before the end, 2 at a minimum. And so a clear signal as to when the band's going out is one thing that'll endear musicians to a caller right away. Another one is simple and direct directions. So if the dance is going too fast, and I know one popular caller who's very guilty of this, he would come over and say, "Don't make it any faster." And of course, we're busy. All we hear is faster. And so we speed up, which is just precisely what they don't want. So, treat the band like you need them to do something. You need to tell someone something who's already got a million things on their mind already. Simple, short, and direct, but nice. Another thing is don't abuse the band on the microphone because they're not on the mic and they can't answer back.
Oh.
And you'll regret it later. It's like Colin Hume used to be very insulting in a funny way to the band, but we hated it. So. But and also clear tempo directives is a nice thing. And some callers change the dance a lot. They're micromanaging the tempo during the dance, and it really, once you have something in the ballpark, best to leave it alone, I'd say. You know.
I'm going to ask a quick question regarding calling. And you said, you know, a good, strong, you know, this is when we want you to stop. But sometimes you guys are just jamming so well. And it's like you're going, well, you know, you could go on 2 more times or 3 if you really need it. And I always get a little confused as to what to say or do. You know, it's like I go too well, and I'm sure they hate that. But I am appreciating the jamming aspect of what's going on.
Well, one of my favorite callers, Lisa Greenleaf, kind of holds up fingers with a little bit of a question mark on her face.
Okay.
As would it be okay to go out in 3 times? And I'd say 9 times out of 10, it's fine. But sometimes we're really cooking and we don't want to go out. So I will just hold up a quick 5, for example.
Okay.
And sometimes she'll say 3 and I'll go, no, 1, take it out now.
Okay. Okay. That's
Yeah.
great to know. Thank you.
Notice simple, direct communication. Yeah. The more nonverbal, the better.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So let's see. Lindsay, do you have another tune to put on first? Before we have you do that, I think we'll do it at the very end. Let's give Kate a chance to say goodbye to us all, but we are having her join into the after chat. I know, but it's going to be more fun in the after chat. And we will be posting links for purchasing the Barnes books and others at Cans. Is that how it's pronounced? Publications?
What's Latin for dog? Canis, as in
Canis.
Right.
I wasn't sure how it was pronounced.
CanisPublishing.com.
Great. Canis Publishing and music from CDSS. And that will all go up at the end of this as we're being played out. But for the moment, thank you, Kate, for joining us. We'll see you after talk, right after this ends. So just hang in there and keep checking back for
which
when
I assume is another link other than this one.
Excuse me?
Yes,
Is another link other than this one. And the way you get that is either if you're a Zoom participant, it was in the original email, or it's via our historical tea and dance friends. No, yeah, I was going to say HTDS, and I shouldn't say that. So Historical Tea and Dance Society Friends page on Facebook, which I will be posting as soon as we end. Takes a couple minutes to close down, and then we open up. So Kate, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
It's been great and so enlightening. So look forward to seeing you soon. Oh, thank you, Lindsay. Lindsay's going to play us out with a piece of music and the place where you can support and purchase Kate's work. And we will see you all soon.
All right.
Bye.